Forget everything you think you know about submarine warfare. We're about to reveal the untold story of the destroyer killer, a commander whose audacious strategies and brilliant exploitation of technology allowed them to dominate surface vessels thought to be untouchable. This isn't just a tale, it's a testament to innovation under pressure. Picture the North Atlantic in 1943. Darkness above, darkness below, and somewhere in between, a German U-boat commander named Otto Kretschmer is about to rewrite the rules of naval warfare. Destroyers, the submarine hunters, bristling with depth charges, sonar equipment, and rapid-fire guns, are supposed to be the predators in this relationship. Submarines are the prey. Forced to dive deep and pray their hulls can withstand the crushing pressure and explosive force of anti-submarine warfare. That's how it's supposed to work. Kretschmer didn't read that script, or maybe he did and decided to tear it up. Between 1939 and 1941, before his capture, Kretschmer sank over 270,000 tons of Allied shipping, 47 ships confirmed, making him the most successful U-boat ace in history. But raw numbers don't tell the full story. What made him legendary, what earned him the whispered title among Allied naval intelligence as the destroyer killer, was his uncanny ability to do what should have been impossible, turning the tables on the very ships designed to hunt submarines. Now, to understand why this matters, you really need to understand the power dynamics of naval warfare in this era. A destroyer wasn't just another ship, it was a purpose-built submarine killer, fast, maneuverable, equipped with ASDIC sonar that could actually detect submerged targets, depth charges that could crush a submarine hull like a tin can, and enough firepower to shred any U-boat foolish enough to fight on the surface. Doctrine was clear. Submarines avoid destroyers. You hear their screws, you go silent, you go deep, you pray, you don't engage, and you definitely don't sink them. Kretschmer engaged, and well, he won repeatedly. His first principle violated every instinct of submarine warfare: get closer. Conventional wisdom said, maintain distance, fire your torpedoes from maximum effective range, typically 1,000 to 1,500 meters, giving you time to dive and escape before counter-attack. Kretschmer's innovation was radical simplicity. He would close to point-blank range, sometimes as close as 300 meters, occasionally even less. At that distance, his torpedoes couldn't miss. At that distance, there was just no time for the target to react, no possibility of evasive maneuvers, no margin for his weapons to malfunction or run off course. The risk was insane. Get that close to a destroyer, and you're within range of every weapon system they have. Their crew can literally see your periscope wake. One lucky shell, one competent sonar operator, one disciplined depth charge pattern, and you're dead. But Kretschmer understood something about human psychology that textbooks didn't teach. People don't expect audacity. They expect submarines to behave like submarines, cautious, distant, predictable. By doing the opposite, he exploited a blind spot in enemy thinking, more valuable than any technological advantage. His second innovation involved timing and environment. Kretschmer hunted at night on the surface, using the low profile of his U-boat against the horizon. Destroyers' ASDIC sonar was useless against surface targets. Their visual lookout struggled to spot a submarine's minimal silhouette in darkness and rough seas. Meanwhile, Kretschmer's crew had excellent night vision equipment and rigorous training in surface navigation. He turned the hunter's advantage, sophisticated detection equipment, into a liability by simply refusing to be where they expected him to be, underwater. When weather turned foul, other U-boat commanders sought calmer waters. Kretschmer sought storms. Heavy seas created visual and acoustic chaos that masked a submarine's presence. Waves scattered sonar returns. Wind drowned out the diesel engine noise that might otherwise give him away. Destroyer crews, fighting just to keep their ships stable in violent seas, couldn't effectively maintain anti-submarine watch. Kretschmer exploited these conditions mercilessly, positioning his U-boat upwind and upcurrent so that his approach was faster and his escape easier, while enemies struggled against the elements. His torpedo tactics were equally unconventional. Standard doctrine called for spread patterns, multiple torpedoes fired in a fan, maximizing the chance that at least one would hit. But Kretschmer often fired single torpedoes. At his ranges, with his targeting discipline, he didn't need spreads, one torpedo, one ship. This conservation of ammunition meant longer patrols, more targets engaged, and, less time spent returning to base for resupply. It also meant his torpedo mechanics could perform more thorough pre-launch checks, reducing the malfunction rate that plagued early war German torpedoes. But perhaps his most remarkable skill was reading the battle space. Destroyers hunting submarines follow patterns, zigzag courses designed to prevent torpedo solutions, sonar sweeps that create predictable search zones, communication protocols that coordinate multiple hunters. Kretschmer studied these patterns obsessively. He could predict where a destroyer would turn, when it would slow for a sonar sweep, and how long its crew would maintain alert before fatigue set in. He fought not just with torpedoes, but with probability, exploiting the mathematical certainties of human behavior under stress. The Allies adapted. After each Kretschmer attack, intelligence analyzed what happened. They improved lookout procedures, increased night patrols, developed better surface search radars, and implemented more random patrol patterns. The chess match escalated. Kretschmer responded by varying his approach angles, sometimes attacking from unexpected quarters, from ahead rather than the beam, from shallow water where submarines weren't supposed to operate, and even from within convoys themselves, hidden among the very ships he was targeting. So his closest call came in March of 1941 during an attack on convoy HX-112. He'd already managed to torpedo several freighters and was just maneuvering for another shot when destroyer HMS Walker detected him. What followed, honestly, was a tense 7-hour game of cat and mouse. Kretschmer diving, evading, using thermal layers in the water to confuse sonar, even playing dead by shutting down all systems and drifting in complete silence. Walker's commander, Donald McIntyre, was no novice. He'd studied U-boat tactics and suspected every trick in the book. The depth charge patterns came close enough to spring rivets, crack gauges, and fill the submarine with, the metallic taste of fear. Kretschmer did escape that encounter, but just barely. Only weeks later, while attacking another convoy, his luck finally ran out. Depth charges from HMS Walker and HMS Vanek damaged his U-boat beyond the capacity to dive. So, surfacing and knowing that capture was inevitable, he destroyed sensitive documents and surrendered his crew. The destroyer killer had at last been caught. But, his legacy lived on. Post-war analysis of his tactics influenced submarine doctrine for decades to come. The principle of aggressive close-range attacks became standard training. His environmental exploitation, using weather, thermal layers, and acoustic conditions, well, that evolved into sophisticated oceanographic analysis. And his psychological warfare, exploiting enemy expectations and patterns, became fundamental to submarine command philosophy. In 2025, with nuclear submarines and advanced sonar systems, the technology has, well, transformed beyond recognition. But the principles Kretschmer demonstrated remain relevant. Innovation beats convention, audacity creates opportunity, and understanding your enemy's thinking matters just as much as understanding your weapons. The specifics of warfare change, human nature doesn't. The destroyer killer proved that even when outgunned, even when facing purpose-built predators, intelligence and boldness can actually reverse the hunter-prey dynamic. His story isn't just naval history, it's a case study in how challenging conventional wisdom, accepting calculated risk, and exploiting the gap between what enemies expect and what's actually possible can overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. The destroyers had every advantage: speed, firepower, detection equipment, numbers. Kretschmer had one advantage that mattered more. He refused to fight the battle his enemies expected. If this story of tactical genius and unconventional thinking revealed how individual brilliance can overcome systemic advantages, subscribe to Through Time. Share this with someone who needs to understand that innovation isn't about having better tools. It's about using the tools you have in ways no one expects. The submarines changed, the warfare evolved, but the lesson remains timeless. Think differently, or don't think you'll win.